Most people don't lose opportunities because they're not smart enough. They lose them because they don't know how to communicate. Take a second and think about it. How many times have you walked away from a conversation wishing you had said something better, or listened more carefully, or just felt understood? Communication isn't just talking. It's how people decide if they can trust you, respect you, or follow you. This video is about 10 tips to boost your communication skills. Not complicated theory, not textbook talk, just real practical tools you can use every single day. You'll learn how to listen so people feel heard, how to manage silence without awkwardness, how to choose words that inspire instead of hurt, and how to control your reactions when emotions rise. If you want better relationships, more confidence, and real influence, these tips will change how people see you and how you see yourself. Chapter 1. Train your mind to listen without planning your reply. All right, my friend, sit with me for a moment and take this in. I want to talk to you about something that may sound simple on the surface, but has the power to completely reshape how people experience you and how you experience them. It's the skill of training your mind to listen without planning your reply. It sounds easy, but in practice it is one of the hardest things for human beings to master. Yet it is one of the most valuable things you can ever give to another person and to yourself. Think about how most of us communicate. Someone speaks, and instead of actually hearing them, our mind starts racing. We begin preparing our answer, rehearsing the clever line we want to drop in, or figuring out how to make our point fit. While the other person is still talking, our brain is already running ahead. We're not listening, we're preparing. And when we do that, we lose the chance to connect. We miss the meaning, the tone, the feeling behind the words. We miss the truth. The first step toward becoming a better communicator is slowing that down. When someone talks, discipline yourself to pause the inner voice that wants to jump ahead. You're not in a race to answer. You're not in competition to outspeak. You're in a moment with another human being. And what that person wants most is to feel heard. Everyone you meet carries a silent question in their mind. Do you see me? Do you hear me? Do I matter? If you can answer those questions with your presence and your attention, you'll never struggle to connect with people. Listening without planning your reply is a habit. It requires training. Just like you'd train your muscles in a gym, you must train your attention in conversations. The mind naturally wants to wander. It wants to judge, to compare, to prepare. But when you pull it back and say, stay here, stay with this person, absorb their words, you are building an inner strength that sets you apart. You see, people remember how you made them feel. And nothing makes a person feel more valued than knowing you gave them your full attention. If you want deeper relationships, stronger friendships, better business deals, more influence, then learn this skill. Listen not to answer, but to understand, not to prepare your side, but to feel theirs. Now here's the psychology behind it. When you're planning your reply, your brain shifts focus inward. You're no longer connected to the person in front of you, you're connected to yourself. That creates a barrier. The other person senses it, even if they can't explain it. They feel distant. On the other hand, when you're fully listening, your brain is outwardly focused. You're watching their body language, catching the rhythm of their words, noticing the tone of their voice. That attention creates connection. And connection builds trust. Trust is the foundation of every relationship. You can't buy it, you can't fake it, and you can't demand it. You earn it. And the easiest way to earn it is to be the person who listens. The world is filled with people who want to speak. Few are willing to really listen. Be the rare one. Now let me give you something practical. The next time you're in a conversation, I want you to try this. Instead of thinking about your reply, repeat the words of the other person silently in your head as they're speaking. This keeps your mind focused on them. When they finish, pause for a brief moment, then respond. That small pause does two things. It shows them you weren't just waiting to jump in, and it gives you a chance to truly process their message. Another strategy is to ask yourself while they are talking, what are they really trying to say? What is the feeling behind these words? By doing this, you train your mind to pay attention to meaning, not just to sound. Communication is not only words, it's emotions wrapped inside words. If you miss the emotion, you miss the message. Now think about how this plays out in everyday life. Imagine a husband and wife arguing. He's already forming his comeback, while she's still explaining how she feels. She's rehearsing her defense, while he's telling his side. What happens? They talk past each other, they're speaking, but nobody's listening. The result is frustration. But if one of them stops and truly listens, without forming the counter-argument in their head, the tone changes. The fight softens. Respect grows. Healing begins. That's the power of listening. Or take the business world. You sit across the table from a client. They're explaining their needs, but you're already preparing your sales pitch. You're not catching the real pain they're describing. And because of that, you miss the chance to serve them better. On the other hand, if you quiet your inner reply and listen fully, you'll notice details others overlook. You'll understand the true problem. And when you respond, you'll hit the mark. That client will trust you, not because you talked well, but because you listened well. This principle applies to every corner of life. Friendships are built on it. Parenting depends on it. Leadership requires it, and personal growth demands it. If you want to grow as a person, learn to discipline the chatter in your head. Stop treating every conversation like a debate you must win. Instead, treat it as an opportunity to learn. Because here's the truth, when you stop planning your reply, you open yourself to surprise. You begin to hear things you would have missed. You learn from people you once ignored, and you discover that wisdom comes not just from talking, but from absorbing. Listening is the doorway to knowledge. Now I know some of you may be thinking, but if I don't plan my reply, I'll sound unprepared. No, my friend, you won't. You'll sound present. You'll sound thoughtful. People will notice that you respond with intention, not reaction. And that carries more weight than any rehearsed line ever could. So how do you train this skill every day? Start small. When you talk with a friend, set the intention. I will not think about what I'll say next. I'll focus only on them. Notice when your mind drifts into reply mode, and gently pull it back. Over time, you'll get better. Like building a muscle. The more you practice, the stronger your attention becomes. Another daily exercise is journaling about your conversation. At the end of the day, ask yourself, did I really listen? Did I give that person my full focus? Where did I drift into reply mode? This reflection sharpens your awareness. It builds accountability with yourself. And don't forget this. Listening is not silence. It's active presence. It's nodding, maintaining eye contact, giving subtle signals that you're engaged. It's asking clarifying questions after they finish. It's letting your body language say, I am here with you. That's what creates a safe space for honest communication. You will notice a transformation when you master this. People will start opening up to you more. They'll share their real thoughts because they know you won't cut them off or ignore them. You'll build deeper bonds because you give what is rare in this world, genuine attention. And you'll also feel the change inside yourself. When you're not rushing to prepare your words, you feel lighter. Conversations stop being battles and start being exchanges. You discover the joy of simply being with someone, of learning from them, of experiencing life through their eyes for a moment. That joy cannot be measured. Now imagine what happens if you live this way consistently. Every day, with every person, you listen without planning your reply. Slowly your reputation begins to change. People describe you as thoughtful, as understanding, as wise. They come to you for advice, not because you speak a lot, but because when you do speak it comes from a place of true awareness. Your words carry weight, because your ears carried their words first. That, my friend, is power. Not the loud kind of power that shouts to be noticed. The quiet kind of power that draws people in. It's the power of presence. And presence begins with listening. So here's my encouragement for you today. Choose one conversation. Just one. And in that conversation, give the gift of pure listening. No planning. No rehearsing. No racing ahead. Just be there. Watch how the person responds. Notice how they relax, how they feel value. Let that moment teach you. Because once you taste the power of real listening, you'll never want to go back. You have the ability to change your relationships, your career, and your personal growth by mastering this single habit. Train your mind to listen without planning your reply, and you'll discover a level of connection that most people spend their whole life searching for. Start.
Chapter 2. Use pauses wisely and give space for honest words. When you speak, the words you choose matter, but the silence between your words matters even more. Many people think communication is only about saying the right things, yet some of the most powerful parts of any conversation happen in the quiet moments. A pause is not empty, a pause is full. It allows truth to breathe, it allows emotions to rise to the surface, it gives the other person the space to find their voice. When you learn to use pauses wisely, you move from being someone who only talks to someone who creates connection. Most of us were raised to believe that constant talking shows confidence, authority, and intelligence. So we rush, we fill every gap with sound, with explanation, with arguments. We fear silence because it feels awkward. But real growth happens when you understand that silence is not a weakness, it is a tool. A pause allows the listener to digest your words. It allows your message to sink deeper than if you had simply rushed through. And for the person you're speaking with, a pause gives them a chance to gather courage, to reflect, and to offer honest words back. Think about how it feels when someone never stops speaking. You nod, you smile politely, but inside you're exhausted. You don't have a chance to contribute. You don't feel invited into the conversation. The other person may think they've communicated, but what they've really done is built a wall of words. Now imagine someone who speaks with calm presence, who shares their thoughts clearly and then waits. That pause feels like an open door. It signals respect. It shows patience. It says, I value what you think too. That simple act can transform a shallow exchange into a meaningful dialogue. Pauses are also powerful for you as a speaker. When you pause, you give yourself a moment to breathe, to collect your thoughts, and to make sure your words carry intention. Rushing often leads to stumbling, rambling, or saying things you later regret. But when you pause, you regain control. You remind yourself that communication is not about speed. It is about impact, and impact requires rhythm. Too many words without a break overwhelm the listener. Words spoken with pauses feel steady, balanced, and trustworthy. Let's look at the psychology behind this. The human brain does not absorb every word at once. It processes meaning in chunks. If you speak without breaks, the brain struggles to keep up. Listeners may catch your words, but they lose the meaning. By pausing, you align with the natural rhythm of understanding. You make it easier for others to stay with you. A pause signals, here is a thought worth remembering. This is why some of the most effective leaders and speakers in history understood the value of silence. Their pauses were as persuasive as their words. Now think about conversations in your daily life. You're sitting with a friend, and they're telling you something difficult. If you interrupt or rush to reply, you may silence their honesty.
They may pull back thinking you don't want to hear more. But if you pause, if you leave that quiet space open, they often continue. They reveal the deeper truth, the thing they were hesitant to say. In that pause, trust grows. You didn't demand it. You earned it by giving them space. The same applies at work. Imagine a team meeting where one person dominates the room, talking over everyone else. Most people shut down. They hold back their ideas. Valuable insights are lost because the space is crowded with noise. Now imagine a leader who explains something, then pauses. That pause is an invitation. It tells the room, your voice matters here. People step forward. They share. Creativity flows. Collaboration builds. The pause becomes the birthplace of ideas. Learning to use pauses wisely also helps you handle difficult situations. In conflict, the urge is to defend yourself quickly, to shoot back with words, to prove your point. But that urgency often escalates tension. A pause, even a short one, changes everything. It cools the heat. It gives you a chance to consider a thoughtful response instead of an emotional reaction. It gives the other person space to calm as well. Many arguments that spiral out of control could be softened if just one person had the discipline to pause before speaking. There's another level to this. The pause inside yourself. When you pause before speaking, you listen to your own mind. You notice if your words are aligned with your values. You ask yourself, is this helpful? Is this necessary? Is this kind? That split-second pause can save you from regret. It can keep you from saying things that wound others or damage your reputation. Over time, this habit creates a reputation for wisdom and composure. People will begin to trust your words because they see you do not waste them. Let's talk about how to practice this. The first step is awareness. Pay attention to how often you rush in conversation. Notice if you cut people off, finish their sentences, or talk over them. Don't judge yourself, just notice. Then begin training yourself with intentional pauses. When someone finishes speaking, wait 2 or 3 seconds before you respond. This will feel long at first, but in reality it is not. To the other person, it shows you respected their words enough to think before answering. To you, it creates the space to respond more thoughtfully. Another exercise is reading out loud. Take a book or article and read a page while deliberately inserting pauses at natural breaks. This trains your brain to get comfortable with silence. You'll notice how the words sound more powerful when you allow space around them. This carries directly into your everyday conversations. In high-pressure situations, pausing may feel unnatural. You may think silence shows weakness, but in reality, silence shows control. The person who can pause demonstrates confidence. They are not desperate to fill every second. They know their value does not depend on constant speaking. This confidence is magnetic. People lean in, they listen more closely, because they sense weight in your words. Let me give you an example. Picture 2 negotiators at a table. One talks rapidly, filling every second, trying to convince, trying to push. The other speaks clearly, makes their point, then pauses. That pause forces the first negotiator to sit with the words. It creates pressure. It shows strength. Often the one who pauses is the one who gains the upper hand. The same principle applies in daily conversations. The pause is power. Using pauses wisely is also about respect for yourself. You deserve to be understood. Your ideas deserve attention. If you rush, you rob yourself of that clarity. If you pause, you highlight what matters most. Pauses give weight to your truth, and weight is what makes people remember. But beyond power and influence, the deeper beauty of a pause is that it honors humanity. It honors the fact that every conversation is not just an exchange of information. It's an exchange of lives. When you give someone room to speak honestly, you're saying, I see you. That's what people crave more than polished words.
They crave space to be real. Over time, as you practice this, you'll notice changes in your relationships. People will feel safer with you. They'll share more openly, because they know you won't rush to judge or cut them off. You'll discover truths about people you never knew, simply because you paused long enough for them to reveal it. You'll also feel a shift in yourself. You'll feel calmer in conversations, more centered, more present. You'll find that communication no longer drains you, but energizes you, because it becomes about connection, not competition. Think about how rare this is in our world today. We live in a time of constant noise, social media advertising, endless notifications. They all compete for attention. People are starving for silence, starving for space. When you are the person who brings that silence into your conversations, you become unforgettable. You become the rare presence that people seek out because you make them feel seen, heard, and valued. So the challenge is clear. Embrace the pause. Stop fearing silence. Stop filling every gap with chatter. Begin practicing the discipline of holding space. Let your words breathe. Let others breathe. Create moments of honesty by allowing pauses to exist. At first it may feel strange, but soon it will feel natural, and then it will feel powerful. Remember this: words carry meaning, but pauses carry truth. If you want to boost your communication skills to a level most people never reach, master the art of using pauses wisely. Speak with intention, stop with purpose, and give others the room to share their honest words. Do this consistently, and you will not only become a better communicator, you will become a better human being.
Chapter 3. Replace nervous habits by practicing calm, steady breathing. Nervous habits are the small actions we often don't notice, but everyone else can see. Tapping fingers on a table, shifting your feet, biting your nails, playing with your pen, or filling every second with and These habits creep in when you feel tense, uncertain, or pressured. You may not even be aware of them, but they send a message. They tell people you are uneasy, unprepared, or lacking confidence. The good news is you are not stuck with them. You can replace nervous habits with calm, steady breathing. And once you learn how to use your breath, you take back control of your presence, your voice, and your mind. Think about what happens inside your body when you feel nervous. Your heart starts racing, your palms sweat, your chest tightens, and your breathing gets shallow. These are natural responses. Your body is preparing for stress. But when your breathing becomes short and fast, your brain receives less oxygen, your thoughts scatter, and your words lose flow. That is why nervous habits show up. They are the body's way of trying to release tension. But the problem is, they make you look less confident than you really are. Calm, steady breathing changes everything. It tells your body you are safe. It slows your heartbeat, steadies your voice, clears your mind, and helps you stay centered. It doesn't just remove nervous habits, it replaces them with a quiet strength that people notice immediately. When you breathe with intention, your shoulders relax, your tone deepens, and your words come out clear. People stop focusing on your fidgeting and start focusing on your message. The key is to train your breathing so it becomes natural in moments of stress. Most people wait until they are already nervous to try calming down, but by then, habits take over. Training daily builds resilience, so when pressure comes, your body already knows what to do. Start by practicing slow breath through your nose, holding for a moment, then releasing fully through your mouth. This simple exercise signals your nervous system to calm down. Do it for just a few minutes a day, and you will notice a shift. Now let's apply this to real situation. Imagine you're about to give a presentation. You feel your heart speeding up, your hands start to shake, and your voice feels tight. If you dive right in, your nervous habits will appear. You'll rush your words, look down or fidget. Instead, pause before you speak. Take a slow, deep breath in, hold it, then release. Feel your chest open. Notice the difference in your body. When you start speaking from that calm place, your delivery changes completely. Your audience senses your steadiness. You haven't just controlled your nervous habits, you've replaced them with confidence. Or picture yourself in a job interview. The questions are tough. You feel pressure to answer quickly. Without control, you'll fill silence with or start tapping your foot. But if you focus on steady breathing, you give yourself space. You take a breath before answering, and that breath gives your mind time to form a clear thought. Instead of blurting out words, you respond with confidence. The interviewer sees composure. They see someone who doesn't panic under stress. This also works in everyday conversations. Maybe you're meeting someone new and feel awkward. Nervous habits might sneak in without you realizing it. By practicing calm breathing, you redirect your focus. Instead of letting nerves control your body, you use your breath to ground yourself. You stand taller, you look people in the eye, and you come across as relaxed. Breathing is not only physical, it's psychological. When you focus on your breath, you anchor yourself to the present moment. Nervousness often comes from future thinking. What if I mess up? What if I sound foolish? Those thoughts pull you away from now. But breathing brings you back to now. Inhale, exhale, this moment, this word, this person. That is all. Nervous energy fades when you stop feeding it with worry. There is also a rhythm to calm breathing that supports communication. When your breathing is shallow, your sentences come out rushed. You barely finish one thought before jumping to the next. But when you breathe deeply, your words flow in a natural pace. You speak with pauses that sound thoughtful rather than nervous. People interpret this as confidence, even wisdom, and that's because controlled breathing gives you control over the rhythm of your speech. One powerful practice is box breathing. Breathe in for 4 counts, hold for 4 counts, exhale for 4 counts, hold again for 4 counts. Repeat. This simple pattern builds discipline. It slows your nervous system and steadies your focus. Do this before a meeting, before a speech, or any time you feel your body tensing. Over time you will find that nervous habits fade, because your body no longer needs them. Let's also talk about what happens when you don't replace nervous habits. People may interpret them in ways you don't intend. Constant fidgeting makes you look distracted. Avoiding eye contact makes you look unsure. Filling silence with filler words makes you seem unprepared. None of this reflects your real ability, but it is the message people receive. Communication is not only words, it's the signals your body sends. By mastering your breath, you align those signals with the message you want to deliver. It's worth pointing out that calm, steady breathing does more than stop nervous habits. It builds resilience in your entire life. Stress from work, conflict in relationships, unexpected challenges, your breath is always with you. It's the tool you can carry anywhere. When you breathe with intention, you remind yourself that you are in control of how you respond. You can't control every situation, but you can control your presence in it. You might think this sounds too simple. How can something as basic as breathing make such a difference? But remember, the simplest disciplines often bring the biggest change. People overlook them because they seem obvious, but those who practice them discover an edge others miss. Steady breathing is like a reset button for your mind and body. It clears space so your natural strength can come forward without being blocked by nerves. If you commit to practicing this daily, here's what you'll notice. Your nervous habits become less automatic. You catch yourself before you start tapping your foot or biting your lip.
You begin using breath to reset in the moment. Slowly, your reputation changes. People start describing you as calm, grounded, reliable. They may not know you trained your breathing, but they will feel the difference every time they speak with you. Think about how this applies to leadership. A leader who panics in front of their team spreads fear, but a leader who breathes calmly during crisis spreads stability. People follow stability. They trust composure. They believe in the person who remains steady when everyone else is shaking. That steadiness doesn't come from luck. It comes from training the body to respond with calm, not chaos. In family life, the same principle applies. Children watch the adults around them. If you show nervous habits in stressful situations, they learn to copy them. But if you show calm breathing, you give them a model of resilience. You teach them through example how to face challenges with strength. Breathing also sharpens your memory and focus. Nervous energy scatters the mind. Calm breathing gathers it. When your brain has enough oxygen, your recall improves. You remember details in conversations. You respond more thoughtfully. This adds depth to your communication. People feel not only that you listened, but that you remembered. And that memory builds connection. The greatest transformation comes when calm breathing becomes automatic. At first, you will need to remind yourself, but with practice, it becomes your default. The moment pressure rises, your body responds with steady breath. You don't need nervous habits anymore because you've replaced them with discipline. That is when communication feels effortless. Your words match your presence. Your body matches your intention. People sense your confidence without you forcing it. So here is the challenge. Dedicate time each day to practice calm breathing. Use it when you wake up. Use it before sleep. Use it in the middle of difficult conversations. Replace nervous habits one by one until they fade completely. Don't wait until pressure rises. Build the strength now, so when you need it, it is already there. Remember, nervous habits are not who you are. They are simply the body's response to tension. But with practice, you can teach your body a new response. You can train calm, steady breathing until it becomes your natural state. And when it does, people will notice. They will see a person who is composed, confident, and clear. They will listen more closely to your words because your presence commands attention. You are capable of that. You are capable of being the person who walks into a room without nervous habits, who speaks with steady breath, who inspires trust with calm energy. The skill is simple, the practice is clear, and the result is powerful. Replace nervous habits by practicing calm, steady breathing, and you will discover a strength within yourself that was always waiting to be released.
Chapter 4. Look into eyes to create trust and real presence. When you meet another person, one of the most powerful ways to show respect and build connection is through your eyes. Looking directly into someone's eyes communicates trust, honesty, and confidence in a way that words alone can never achieve. The human mind is wired to notice where attention goes, and when your eyes meet someone else's with calm presence, they feel acknowledged. They feel that you are not just speaking to them, but you are with them. This creates a bond that cannot be faked or replaced with clever phrases. Trust does not come from rehearsed speeches or perfect sentences. Trust is born in presence. And presence is revealed most clearly through your eyes. When your eyes wander around the room or focus on the floor, you send the signal that your mind is elsewhere. People pick up on this instantly. They may not say it out loud, but they sense distance. They sense that you are distracted or even hiding something. But when your eyes remain steady and attentive, you send the message, I am here, I am with you, I value you. That is the foundation of real communication. Eye contact also strengthens your own confidence. When you look away, you reinforce your own doubt. You tell yourself you cannot face the person fully. But when you hold someone's gaze, even for a few seconds, you begin to feel stronger. You align your body and your mind with your intention. You remind yourself that you belong in the moment. Over time, this practice builds an inner stability that shows up in every part of your life. Consider how this works in important conversations. Picture yourself in a job interview. You may have strong qualifications, but if your eyes keep shifting away, the interviewer will sense hesitation. They may wonder if you lack confidence or if you are not being fully transparent. On the other hand, when you answer their questions while holding steady eye contact, you communicate certainty. You communicate that you are secure in who you are and what you bring. The same words spoken without eye contact lose impact. With eye contact, they gain power. Now think about relationships. When a friend, a partner, or a child is sharing something personal, they want to know you are truly listening. If your eyes are on your phone, your watch, or the floor, they will feel ignored. They may even shut down, thinking you don't care enough to pay attention. But when you look into their eyes, even silently, you give them something priceless. You give them the gift of presence. That presence encourages honesty. It says, "You are safe with me. You matter." In that moment, walls come down and hearts open. There is also a psychological reason. Eye contact creates trust. Humans evolved to read eyes as indicators of safety and intention. We look into someone's eyes to determine if they are friendly or threatening, honest or deceitful. The eyes carry subtle signals about emotion that no words can match. When you avoid eye contact, people may feel uncertain about your motive. But when you meet their eyes steadily, you satisfy that deep psychological need for clarity. They feel at ease because they can read your sincerity. This is not about staring intensely. Overdoing eye contact can feel aggressive or uncomfortable. The key is balance. Look into someone's eyes long enough to show respect, then occasionally glance away naturally before returning. This rhythm feels authentic. It mirrors the flow of natural conversation. It avoids the extremes of avoidance or intimidation. What matters most is that your eyes are engaged, not hidden. Eye contact also influences the tone of your voice. When you are looking directly into someone's eyes, your words naturally slow down and become more intentional. You choose your phrases carefully because you are aware of being fully seen. This improves the quality of your communication without forcing it. You don't have to try to sound confident. Your eye contact shapes your delivery. In group settings, using eye contact is especially powerful. When speaking to a crowd, scanning the room and making direct eye contact with individuals makes everyone feel included. The audience feels that you are not speaking into the air, but directly to them. Even brief moments of connection with several individuals can transform the energy of the room. People feel engaged, and engagement builds influence. But let's take this beyond public speaking. Imagine a heated argument. Emotions are high, voices are raised. When eyes dart away, mistrust grows. Each person thinks the other is avoiding truth. But if one person grounds themselves, takes a breath, and looks directly into the other's eyes with calm, the tone shifts. Eye contact in this moment says, "I am not running from this. I am here, and I am listening." That alone can lower defenses and open the door to resolution. To train yourself in this skill, start with awareness. Notice how often you avoid eye contact in daily interactions. Notice the moments you feel tempted to look away. Then in small steps, practice holding your gaze a little longer. At first this may feel uncomfortable, but with time it becomes natural. One useful exercise is to practice with people you know well. When you talk with a close friend or family member, focus on keeping steady eye contact while they speak. This builds comfort in a safe environment before you apply it in more challenging situations. Another way to strengthen this is through reflection. At the end of the day, think back to your conversations.
Ask yourself, did I maintain presence through my eyes? Did people feel seen? Did I avoid connection by looking away? This reflection helps you improve gradually. Over weeks and months, you will notice that people begin to respond differently to you. They lean in more, they trust you more quickly, they share more openly, all because you gave them the simple but rare gift of eye contact. One of the most important benefits of looking into someone's eyes is authenticity. In a world where distractions are constant, authenticity stands out. People are used to half listening, half watching interaction. They are used to conversations where phones steal attention. When you give full eye contact, you stand apart. You become memorable because you give what most people no longer give, your full self. That authenticity makes you a person others want to follow, work with, and build relationships with. There is also a spiritual dimension to this. When you look into another person's eyes, you are not just seeing their face. You are acknowledging their humanity. You are saying, I recognize you. That recognition builds dignity on both sides. You feel more connected to them, and they feel more connected to you. This connection is the essence of meaningful communication. It is not about clever words, but about presence that touches the heart. Consider how this skill shapes leadership. A leader who avoids eye contact seems distant. Their team may feel uncertain or even mistrustful, but a leader who regularly looks into the eyes of their team members communicates value. They show that they are not above anyone but present with everyone. This builds loyalty and respect. People want to follow a leader who makes them feel seen. In personal growth, this practice teaches you courage. It is not always easy to meet someone's eyes, especially in vulnerable situations. But when you practice it, you strengthen your ability to face discomfort directly. You prove to yourself that you can stand steady in front of others. That courage carries into every part of life. Eye contact also enhances listening. When you look into someone's eyes while they are speaking, you block out distractions. You focus entirely on their message. This creates deeper understanding. You catch nuances in their tone, subtle changes in their expression, and emotions that might otherwise be hidden. That depth of listening makes your responses far more meaningful. In families, eye contact is a bridge across generations. Parents who look into their children's eyes while speaking build a bond of safety and love. Children who grow up with that presence feel secure and valued. Couples who maintain eye contact during conversations keep intimacy alive. Friendships deepen when both people feel truly seen. In every culture, eyes carry meaning. They are the window through which trust enters or leaves. Whether in business, relationships, or casual encounters, eye contact communicates far more than you realize. It shows courage, honesty, attention, and respect. Without it, words lose much of their weight. With it, even simple words become powerful. So make it a practice every day. In conversations, remind yourself, look into their eyes, not with force, but with presence. Give them your attention fully. Allow your eyes to say what your words alone cannot. In time, this habit will transform not only how others see you, but how you see yourself. You will walk into conversations with confidence. You will leave them with stronger connection, and you will experience the rare gift of real presence, the kind that builds trust, opens hearts, and leaves a lasting mark.
Chapter 5. Choose words that uplift instead of words that harm. Every word you speak carries weight. It can build someone up, or it can break someone down. You may not always notice it, but the way you choose your words leaves lasting marks on the people around you. One encouraging sentence can give someone courage to take the next step, while one careless remark can linger in their heart for years. This is why learning to choose words that uplift instead of words that harm is one of the most important skills in communication. It is not only about being polite or kind, it is about using language as a tool for growth, respect, and connection. Think about the last time someone said something that truly encouraged you. Maybe it was a teacher who told you that you had potential, or a friend who reminded you of your strength when you doubted yourself, or a colleague who recognized your effort when you thought no one noticed. Those words may have been simple, but they carried power because they reached your heart. They uplifted you. Now think of the opposite. Recall a moment when someone's words cut deep. Perhaps it was criticism delivered without care, or a harsh comment in a vulnerable moment. That memory probably stayed with you too. This is the truth. Words are never neutral. They move people toward growth or toward pain. When you choose words that uplift, you are making a decision to add value to people's lives. This does not mean you avoid honesty or hide from hard truths. It means you deliver your truth in a way that supports, not destroys. You can correct without crushing. You can challenge without shaming. You can disagree without disrespect. The choice lies in how you form your words. Uplifting words create room for change. Harmful words create walls that block progress. In every conversation, you face this choice. For example, when a child makes a mistake, you can say, "You never do anything right," or you can say, "This didn't go well, but I believe you can do better next time." Both sentences address the same mistake, but one plants seeds of doubt while the other plants seeds of hope. Over time, those seeds grow. The child who hears uplifting words builds confidence. The one who hears harmful words builds fear. This principle applies not only to children, but to every person you meet. Choosing uplifting words also builds your reputation. People remember how they felt after speaking with you. If they leave feeling small, they will avoid you. If they leave feeling stronger, they will seek you out. Your influence grows when people trust that you will use words responsibly. In business, this trust is priceless. Leaders who uplift with their language inspire loyalty and performance. Leaders who harm with their words create resentment and resistance. This skill begins with awareness. Many harmful words are spoken without intention. A sarcastic joke, a careless insult, a frustrated reaction, these slip out in moments of stress. But once spoken, they cannot be taken back. Uplifting communication requires slowing down and asking yourself, what effect will my words have on this person? That pause can prevent damage and replace it with encouragement. It takes discipline, but the rewards are immense. Another key is empathy. To uplift with your words, you must understand how others feel. This means listening carefully and paying attention to the emotions behind their words. When you sense someone is struggling, a single sentence of support can make a difference. "I see how hard you are working. I know this is not easy, but I believe in you." These simple phrases acknowledge both the struggle and the strength. They don't dismiss the difficulty, but they point toward hope. Uplifting words are not about flattery or empty praise. People recognize when you are being insincere. Real encouragement comes from noticing something true and giving voice to it. This means paying attention. Look for the effort, the progress, the courage, even in small steps. Acknowledge it. By naming the positive you see, you shine a light that others may not notice in themselves. That light can guide them forward. There is also an important personal benefit. When you discipline yourself to choose uplifting words, your own mindset shifts. Instead of focusing on flaws, you train your mind to see strength. Instead of dwelling on mistakes, you look for potential. This practice not only helps others, it builds optimism and resilience in you. Words shape thoughts, and thoughts shape life. By using uplifting language, you create an atmosphere of growth around you and within you. Think about conflict situations.
Emotions run high, tempers flare, and harmful words are often the first response. Yet these are the moments where uplifting words are most needed. Instead of saying, "You always mess things up," you can say, "This result isn't what we hoped for, but I know we can work together to fix it." The first response divides. The second unites. By choosing uplifting words in conflict, you de-escalate tension and open a path to resolution. The same applies in everyday interactions. A cashier at the store, a co-worker in the hallway, a stranger on the street, all of them carry silent battles you cannot see. Your words may be the only encouragement they receive that day. A simple "thank you for your help" or "I appreciate what you did" may seem small to you, but it can be life-changing to someone who feels unseen. You never know the weight someone is carrying, so choose words that lighten the load, not add to it. There will be times when you must give criticism. Uplifting words do not mean avoiding correction, but the way you deliver correction determines whether it harms or helps. Instead of tearing down, frame your feedback as guidance. Instead of saying, "This is terrible," say, "Here are some ways we can make this stronger." The goal is not to deny mistakes, but to build pathways for improvement. People respond far better to guidance that uplifts than to attacks that humiliate. To develop this discipline, practice self-reflection. At the end of each day, review your conversations. Ask yourself, did my words build or break? Did I encourage or discourage? This reflection keeps you accountable. Over time it shapes new habits. You begin to catch harmful words before they leave your mouth. You begin to seek opportunities to encourage. Another powerful practice is journaling uplifting language. Write down phrases you can use in different situations. At work, at home, with friends. Keep them ready in your mind, so when the moment comes, you can choose them. For example, "I'm proud of the way you handled that. I respect your effort. You've improved so much." Having these phrases ready helps you respond with positivity, even under pressure. In families, uplifting words create strong bonds. Children who grow up hearing encouragement develop confidence that lasts a lifetime. Spouses who exchange uplifting words build intimacy and resilience in their marriage. Parents who uplift each other show their children what respect looks like. On the other hand, families filled with harmful language carry wounds that may last for generations. By choosing uplifting words, you break cycles of harm and build legacies of strength. In leadership, uplifting language turns teams into communities. Workers who hear recognition and encouragement are motivated to give their best. They feel valued, not just as employees, but as people. Leaders who only criticize create fear. Leaders who uplift create loyalty. A culture of encouragement is not built by big speeches, but by consistent daily words that honor effort and progress. Even with yourself, words matter. The way you talk to yourself shapes your confidence. If you constantly tell yourself you are not good enough, you reinforce fear and doubt. But if you train yourself to speak uplifting words to your own mind, "I am capable, I can grow, I will learn," you build inner strength. The words you speak internally are as important as those you speak outwardly. Uplifting language begins within. Every day, you have countless chances to choose. Do you criticize or do you encourage? Do you tear down or do you build up? Do you harm or do you uplift? These choices shape not only your relationships, but your character. People will remember the way you spoke to them, long after they forget the exact words. They will remember whether you left them heavier or lighter, smaller or stronger. So make it your discipline to choose words that uplift. In every setting, work, family, friendships, strangers, commit to leaving people better than you found them. Use words to recognize effort, to point toward growth, to honor humanity. Avoid the temptation of sarcasm, cruelty, or careless remark. Hold yourself to the higher standard of encouragement. This discipline may not always be easy, but it is always worth it. In the end, words are tools. You can use them to build bridges or to build walls. You can use them to create hope or to create harm. The decision is yours. And every day, with every sentence, you shape not only the lives of others, but also the person you are becoming. Choose words that uplift, and you will create a life marked by trust, respect, and lasting influence.
Chapter 6. Match your tone with the emotion of your message. Your tone is the bridge between your words and the way those words are received. You can say the exact same sentence with two different tones, and it will land in completely different ways. You can say "I'm proud of you" in a flat and careless tone, and it will feel empty. Or you can say those same words with warmth, energy, and sincerity, and it will light up someone's spirit. The words may stay the same, but the meaning changes because of the tone that carries them. If you want to communicate with true impact, you must learn to match your tone with the emotion of your message. Tone is more than volume. It is the mixture of pitch, pace, energy, and feeling that you project through your voice. It is how your words sound, not just what they mean. People don't just hear your words, they feel them. If your tone does not align with your intention, people will feel the mismatch. They may not always be able to explain why, but they will sense something is off. That sense of disconnect weakens trust and reduces the power of your message. Think about a time when someone apologized to you. If their words were, "I'm sorry," but the tone was sarcastic or flat, you didn't believe them. The apology didn't matter because the tone betrayed the truth. Now imagine someone who said the same words with genuine softness, steady eye contact, and careful pacing. The apology carried weight because the tone matched the message. This is the difference between speaking and connecting. Matching your tone to your message requires awareness and control. Many people move through conversations on autopilot. They say what they want to say without considering how it sounds. They rush, they speak too harshly, or they keep their tone flat regardless of the situation. The result is misunderstanding. The listener receives something completely different from what was intended. To avoid this, you must pause, recognize the emotion you want to express, and adjust your tone accordingly. When you are sharing joy, your tone should carry energy and warmth. When you are offering comfort, your tone should slow down, soften, and carry calm. When you are giving direction, your tone should be clear, firm, and steady. When you are celebrating someone's success, your tone should rise with enthusiasm. The emotion behind the message determines the music of your voice. Without that alignment, your words risk falling flat or even causing harm. This is especially important in leadership. A leader who announces good news with a monotone voice drains the excitement from the room. A leader who addresses serious challenges with a casual or playful tone signals a lack of awareness. Teams read tone as much as they read words. They look for consistency between the message and the emotion. A leader who aligns both earns respect and trust. A leader who does not creates confusion and doubt. In relationships, tone carries even greater weight. Imagine telling a partner, "I love you," but saying it quickly, without energy, as if it were just another phrase. It feels routine, even meaningless. But say those same words slowly, with warmth in your tone and presence in your eyes, and the meaning becomes undeniable. Relationships are strengthened not by words alone, but by the tone that wraps around those words. Tone also affects children deeply. Young minds pay close attention, not only to what parents or teachers say, but how they say it. A parent who says, "I believe in you," with real enthusiasm, builds confidence in a child's heart. A parent who says the same words in a distracted tone teaches the child to doubt. Tone becomes a mirror children use to measure their worth. By matching tone with message, you give them not just words, but experiences of support and encouragement. The way tone influences communication is rooted in psychology. Human beings are designed to detect emotion in voices. Long before language developed, tone was how people communicated safety, danger, care, or hostility. That instinct still lives in us. We hear tone first, and words second. This is why someone can say the right words, but still be misunderstood if the tone does not match. Our brains place more weight on how something sounds than on the literal meaning. To master this, practice becoming conscious of your tone. Record yourself speaking and play it back. Notice if your tone matches the emotion you wanted to express. Often people are surprised to hear themselves. What they thought sounded enthusiastic comes across flat. What they thought was firm comes across harsh. This exercise creates awareness and gives you the chance to adjust. Another practice is slowing down before you speak. Ask yourself, what emotion do I want to convey? Is it encouragement, seriousness, celebration, empathy? Once you know, shape your tone to reflect it. This requires self-discipline, but over time it becomes a natural habit. Your tone begins to shift automatically to match your intention. In professional settings, this skill gives you an edge. A salesperson who speaks in a rushed or monotone voice loses the interest of the client, no matter how strong the product. But a salesperson who matches tone with message, excited when introducing benefits, calm when addressing concerns, steady when explaining details, creates confidence and connection. The difference is not in the product, but in the delivery. In conflict, tone is often the deciding factor. You can say, "We need to talk about this issue," in a sharp, impatient tone, and the other person becomes defensive. Or you can say the same words in a calm, respectful tone, and the door to dialogue opens. People often remember the tone of a conflict more than the exact words. They may forget the details of what was said, but they will always remember how it felt. Tone is also vital in moments of motivation. If you want to inspire, your voice must rise with energy. Your words must carry conviction. If your tone is flat, people will not feel moved even if your message is powerful. But when your tone matches the fire of your intention, people feel it in their hearts. They are not just hearing, they are experiencing. There is a fine balance to strike. Over-exaggerating tone can feel fake. Underusing tone can feel lifeless. The goal is authenticity. Let your tone flow from genuine emotion. If you are proud, let your voice carry pride. If you are compassionate, let your voice carry care. If you are serious, let your voice carry weight. Authentic tone is not about performance. It is about alignment between inner feeling and outer expression. Daily practice makes this easier. You can train your tone by reading passages out loud with different emotion. Read the same sentence as if you were excited, then as if you were sad, then as if you were serious. Notice how tone changes the meaning. This builds flexibility in your communication. It prepares you to adapt your tone in real conversations, without forcing it. Tone is also influenced by your physical state. When you are tired or stressed, your voice often sounds flat or impatient. This is why self-care matters. Rest, hydration, and calm breathing all affect your tone. By taking care of your body, you give your voice the ability to carry emotions more effectively. Tone does not only impact others, it also impacts you. When you adjust your tone to match your message, you reinforce your own intention. For example, speaking encouragement with an uplifting tone not only motivates others, it boosts your own spirit. Speaking with a calm tone in conflict not only diffuses tension for others, it keeps you composed. The tone you choose becomes the emotion you feel more strongly. This principle is not just about big speeches or formal moments. It applies to daily life. Saying thank you with sincerity builds goodwill with strangers. Asking a question with curiosity instead of suspicion
invites honest answers. Greeting someone with energy instead of indifference sets the tone for the interaction. Every conversation becomes an opportunity to practice matching tone with message. When you master this, you elevate your entire presence. People will describe you as genuine, trustworthy, and engaging. They will feel drawn to you because your words and tone align, creating harmony. They will not have to wonder what you mean, because your voice will tell them. That clarity reduces misunderstanding and builds relationships that last. In the end, tone is not an extra detail. It is the very heart of communication. Words are the body, but tone is the soul. Without tone, words are empty. With tone that matches the message, words come alive. They reach not only the ears, but the heart. They create experiences that people remember long after the conversation ends. So commit to this discipline. Match your tone with the emotion of your message. Pay attention to how you sound, not just what you say. Train yourself to align your inner intention with your outer voice. Use tone to carry truth, encouragement, and connection. Do this consistently, and you will discover that your communication reaches a deeper level of impact. People will not only hear your words, they will feel them. And when people feel your words, they change. That is the power you hold in your voice.
Chapter 7. Control your reactions and respond only after full understanding. One of the most difficult but most valuable skills you can ever develop is learning to control your reactions and respond only after you have gained full understanding. Most people do the opposite. They react instantly, fueled by emotion, assumption, or pride. They don't wait to listen, they don't pause to reflect, and they don't take time to gather the full picture. The result is regret, misunderstanding, and damage to relationships. If you want to build lasting trust and communicate with real impact, you must train yourself to master that pause between stimulus and response. That pause is where wisdom lives. When someone says something you don't agree with, the natural urge is to fire back quickly. It feels satisfying in the moment, like defending yourself or proving your point. But those quick reactions often come from misunderstanding. You may not have heard the full story. You may not have grasped their true intention. Maybe you misinterpreted their tone. Maybe your own emotions distorted the meaning of their words. Reacting too quickly creates a cycle of conflict. Instead of solving the problem, you add fuel to it. Responding after full understanding is a higher discipline. It means you give yourself permission to pause. You listen carefully to every word. You watch the body language. You consider the emotions at play. You ask clarifying questions if something feels unclear. Only when you are sure you understand what the other person truly meant do you offer your response. That response, born from patience and clarity, carries far more strength than any reaction ever could. This practice is essential in every part of life. In business, misunderstandings cost deals, create conflict in teams, and damage reputations. In families, quick reactions create unnecessary fights, hurt feelings, and lasting distance. In friendships, reacting without understanding leads to broken trust. But when you discipline yourself to slow down and seek full understanding, everything changes. Conflicts become conversation. Tension turns into cooperation. Misunderstandings dissolve before they take root. Psychology teaches us that the human brain is wired for fast judgment. We want to interpret quickly and react instantly because it feels safe. It's part of survival instinct. But in today's world, reacting quickly is not always wise. Communication is complex. People have layers of meaning in their words. If you respond to only the surface, you miss the truth beneath. Controlling your reaction is about rewiring that instinct. It's about teaching your mind that speed is not the goal. Accuracy is. Consider a practical example. You receive an email from a colleague that sounds rude. Your first impulse is to fire back with equal sharpness. But before you type, you pause. You reread the email carefully. You consider the possibility that they wrote in a hurry, or that tone is hard to convey in writing. You decide to ask them in person what they meant. When you speak with them, you discover they weren't being rude at all. They were simply rushed. By controlling your reaction, you saved the relationship from unnecessary tension. Or imagine a parent who hears their teenager speak with frustration. The parent's quick reaction might be to scold or lecture, but if the parent pauses, listens fully, and asks questions, they may realize the teenager is struggling with something deeper, like stress at school or pressure from peers. Instead of conflict, the conversation becomes support. That shift happens only because the parent chose to respond after full understanding. This discipline also protects your credibility. People respect those who stay calm under pressure. If you are known as someone who reacts impulsively, others will hesitate to share openly with you. They will fear your reaction. But if you build a reputation for listening fully, for staying composed, and for responding thoughtfully, people will trust you. They will bring you important conversations because they know you will not misjudge them. Your words will carry greater influence because they are not rushed, but measured. The way to build this skill is by practicing self-control in small moments. Notice the triggers that make you want to react quickly. Maybe it's when someone interrupts you, when you feel criticized, or when you disagree strongly. In those moments, train yourself to pause. Take one slow breath before speaking. That single breath is enough to create space between reaction and response. In that space, you give your mind the chance to think clearly. Asking questions is another powerful strategy. Instead of reacting, respond with curiosity. If someone says something that upsets you, instead of snapping back, ask, "Can you explain what you mean?" Or, "I want to make sure I understand you correctly." These questions not only give you clarity, they also show the other person that you value their perspective. Often, people soften when they see that you are seeking to understand rather than rushing to judge. It's also important to control your internal dialogue. When you hear something that stirs emotion, your mind often creates a quick story. They don't respect me. They're trying to insult me. They don't care about my opinion. These thoughts fuel instant reaction, but most of the time, those stories are assumptions, not truth. By pausing, you give yourself a chance to separate fact from assumption. You ask yourself, what do I really know here? What might I be missing? That awareness saves you from unnecessary conflict. Responding after full understanding also strengthens relationships over time. When people see that you consistently take the time to understand them before responding, they feel valued. They feel that their words matter to you. This builds trust at a deep level. People are far more open with those who listen with patience than with those who rush to react. Over time, you become known as someone who is safe to talk to, someone whose responses are fair and thoughtful. In leadership, this skill is critical. Teams look to leaders for steadiness. If a leader reacts impulsively, the whole team feels unstable. But if a leader listens carefully, gathers facts, and responds with clarity, the team feels secure. Decisions made from full understanding are better decisions. They avoid the mistakes that come from acting too fast. A leader who masters this builds not only trust, but also effectiveness. In personal growth, controlling reactions helps you master yourself. Emotional outbursts weaken your influence. Regret over words spoken in haste eats away at your confidence. But when you learn to pause and respond with understanding, you feel stronger inside. You gain respect for yourself
because you know you are not a slave to impulse. You are in charge of your words and actions. That sense of control builds dignity and resilience. The truth is that most conflicts in the world are not caused by real differences, but by miscommunication. People react before they understand, and small issues grow into big divides. By being the person who waits for clarity, you prevent those divides from growing. You become a peacemaker, someone who builds bridges instead of walls. This is not weakness, it is strength. It takes far more power to hold back a reaction than to release it. To make this habit permanent, practice reflection. At the end of each day, ask yourself, did I react too quickly today? Did I take time to understand before responding? What could I do differently next time? This reflection helps you spot patterns and adjust. Over time, you'll notice progress. You'll notice that you respond more calmly in situations where you once reacted impulsively. That growth is proof of your discipline. Another method is role-playing in your mind. Think of scenarios where you usually react too quickly. Visualize yourself in those moments, staying calm, asking questions, waiting before answering. This mental rehearsal prepares you for real situations. When the moment comes, your mind already knows what to do. This practice does not mean you never show emotion. It means you choose when and how to show it. Responding after full understanding allows you to express yourself with intention instead of impulse. Your emotions still have a voice, but they are guided by clarity, not chaos. People respect emotions when they are expressed with wisdom. They lose respect when emotions explode without control. Over time, controlling your reactions changes how others see you. They no longer view you as unpredictable or quick-tempered. They see you as composed, thoughtful, and reliable. They seek your perspective because they know you will give a balanced response. This reputation opens doors in careers, strengthens families, and deepens friendship. The power of this principle lies in its simplicity. All it requires is the discipline to pause. That pause may last only a few seconds, but it changes everything. It gives you time to gather understanding, to choose your words, and to protect your relationship. The pause turns reaction into response, and response into wisdom. So take this challenge into your life. Control your reactions, and respond only after full understanding. Train yourself to pause, to listen, to ask, to reflect. Refuse to let impulse rule your communication. Choose patience over speed, clarity over assumption, and wisdom over regret. If you can master this single discipline, you will rise above the noise of impulsive voices and become a person whose words carry trust, respect, and lasting influence.
Chapter 8. Strengthen memory recall to remember names and small details. One of the most powerful ways to make people feel valued is by remembering their names and the small details they share with you. It sounds simple, but it is often overlooked. People notice when you recall something personal about them. They notice when you remember the name of their child, their favorite hobby, or a challenge they mentioned weeks ago. That memory tells them you cared enough to listen and cared enough to hold on to what mattered to them. It builds trust instantly and deepens the bond between you and them. On the other hand, forgetting names and details can unintentionally send the opposite message, that they didn't matter enough to remember. That is why strengthening memory recall is such an important part of building great communication skills. Our brains are bombarded with information every day. Names, faces, conversations, tasks, deadlines, all of it competes for space in our memory. Without intention, it's easy to forget. But with practice, you can train your memory to hold on to the details that strengthen connection. The truth is, people with strong communication skills are not necessarily smarter. They are more intentional about paying attention and storing what matters. The first step to remembering names and details is presence. Many times when we are introduced to someone, our mind is already distracted. We're thinking about what to say next, or worrying about how we appear, instead of truly focusing on the person. As a result, the name slips away almost immediately. To change this, you must commit to being fully present in the moment of introduction. When someone tells you their name, give it your full focus. Repeat it in your mind. Say it out loud if possible. Nice to meet you, Sarah. That single act of repeating the name locks it more firmly into your memory. Associating names with images or familiar words can also help. If you meet someone named Lily, you might imagine a lily flower in your mind as you speak with them. If you meet a person named John, you might connect it to another John you already know. These associations create memory anchors. They give your brain something to attach the name to, making it easier to recall later. The same principle applies to remembering details. Then someone shares something about themselves. Don't just hear it, capture it. If they mention they are training for a marathon, take a moment to picture them running. If they say their child just started school, imagine the scene of a child walking with a backpack. By linking their words to a mental image, you strengthen your recall. Memory is more vivid when it is tied to pictures and emotions rather than just words. Writing things down is another practical tool. After a meeting or conversation, jot down the names and details you want to remember. This doesn't mean you carry a notebook everywhere in front of people. It simply means you review and record key information afterward, so your memory doesn't fade. Over time, reviewing these notes reinforces your recall. You'll be surprised how powerful this simple discipline becomes. But memory is not just about tricks and techniques. It's about genuine care. When you care about people, you naturally pay more attention to them. You notice their expressions, you listen to their stories, and you remember because you want. This is why strengthening recall is not only about training your brain. It is about training your heart to value people. Memory follows attention, and attention follows care. Consider how this plays out in leadership. A leader who remembers the names of their team members, who recalls birthdays, family details, or personal achievements, creates loyalty. The team feels seen, not just as workers, but as individuals. Contrast that with a leader who forgets names, or constantly confuses detail. Even if unintentional, it creates distance. People feel like replaceable parts rather than valued contributors. The difference comes down to memory. In friendships, remembering details shows investment. When you recall something a friend mentioned weeks ago, like an upcoming event or a personal challenge, they feel important to you. They realize you weren't just hearing their words, you were keeping them. That act deepens. Friendships thrive not on grand gestures, but on the small signs of attention and memory. In professional networking, remembering names is essential. Meeting dozens of people at events can be overwhelming, but the person who remembers a name stands out immediately. They are seen as respectful and sharp. People are drawn to those who make them feel recognized in a crowded room. Your ability to recall a name can set you apart in business opportunities more than you may realize. Memory also matters in family life. Children, for example, thrive on recognition. When a parent remembers small details about their child's day, the child feels loved and understood. A spouse who remembers little preferences, like how the other likes their coffee, strengthens the bond of care. Families are not built on words alone, but on the everyday proof that you notice and remember. Let's also recognize that memory can be trained like a muscle. Just as physical exercise strengthens the body, mental exercises strengthen recall. Practice memorizing small lists, reviewing names, or challenging yourself to recall details from your day. Over time, these exercises sharpen your brain's ability to store and retrieve information. This benefits not only your communication, but your overall mental clarity. Nutrition, rest, and focus also affect memory. A tired or distracted mind struggles to hold information. Taking care of your body, reducing distractions, and giving full attention to conversations all play a role in recall. Memory is not just about techniques, it is about lifestyle choices that support clarity of thought.
When you develop strong memory recall, you become a person people trust. They don't have to repeat themselves to you constantly. They don't feel forgotten. They know you listen deeply enough to carry their words with you. That experience is rare, and because it is rare, it is powerful. This is not about perfection. You will still forget sometimes. But by making the effort, you show intention. You show that you want to improve. People notice that effort and appreciate it. A simple "I want to make sure I remember. Can you remind me of your name again?" said with sincerity is far better than pretending. Over time, as your recall strengthens, those moments will become fewer. Here is the greater truth. Memory is not just about remembering facts. It is about remembering people. When you strengthen your recall for names and small details, you are telling people, "You matter enough for me to remember you." That message builds bonds that last far longer than any clever conversation. Imagine walking into a room where everyone feels that way about you, where people remember your name, your story, your struggles, your victories. How good would that feel? Now imagine being the person who gives that gift to others. You can. By practicing memory recall, by valuing names and details, you can become that person who makes others feel recognized, valued and respected. This skill may seem small, but it has ripple effects. People open up more when they know you remember them. They trust you more when they see you carry their words beyond the moment. They feel inspired to give back the same level of attention. One person's effort to remember can create a culture of care in families, workplaces and communities. So train yourself each day. Be present in introductions. Create associations that lock names and details in your mind. Write down what you want to remember. Review and practice. Often. But above all, choose to care enough to remember. Because memory is not just a mental exercise, it is an act of respect. It is the quiet way of saying, "I hear you, I value you, and I will not forget you." And that, more than anything else, is what strengthens relationships and elevates your communication to a higher level.
Chapter 9. Practice patience in silence and let others feel heard. Patience is one of the greatest strengths you can bring into any conversation, and silence is one of the most powerful tools to show that patience. Too often, people rush to fill every gap in dialogue. They interrupt, they finish sentences, or they shift attention back to themselves. But when you practice patience in silence, something remarkable happens. The person in front of you feels safe to share more. They feel valued. They sense that their words matter enough to be given space. That experience of feeling truly heard is rare, and when you provide it, you set yourself apart as someone worth trusting. Silence is not emptiness, it is presence. It communicates that you are there not to dominate, but to understand. Think about the last time someone gave you their full attention without rushing in with their own story or opinion. It probably felt like a relief. It gave you the freedom to finish your thought, to gather your words, to express yourself without fear of being cut off. That is what patience in silence gives to others. It allows them to go deeper. It allows truth to surface that might otherwise remain hidden. Many people confuse silence with weakness. They think that if they are not constantly speaking, they will lose influence or seem disengaged. In reality, the opposite is true. Those who master silence carry an authority that constant talkers never achieve. Silence shows control. It shows confidence. It shows that you do not need to prove yourself with endless words, because your presence is already enough. By holding silence, you invite others into the moment with you. You shift the focus away from competition and into connection. Practicing patience in silence also prevents misunderstanding. When you rush to speak before someone has finished, you risk misinterpreting their point. You assume too quickly. You answer a question they weren't even asking. By waiting, you give yourself the gift of clarity. You allow them to fully explain their thought, and only then do you respond. This habit saves relationships from unnecessary conflict and creates conversations built on accuracy instead of assumption. Silence is especially powerful when emotions are involved. If someone is upset, angry, or grieving, the worst thing you can do is rush to talk over their feelings. What they need most is space. By remaining silent, by nodding, by maintaining eye contact, you show them that you can handle their emotions without judgment. You give them permission to release what they are carrying. That release may not happen if you fill the space with advice or correction. Sometimes the greatest support you can give is simply your silent presence. Patience in silence is also about resisting the urge to dominate. In group settings, the loudest voices often take over, while quieter ones hold back. But the most valuable insights often come from those who wait. If you practice silence and create openings, you encourage others to contribute. You send the signal that every voice matters, not just the loudest. This habit builds stronger teams, healthier relationships, and more balanced conversations. Think about leadership. A leader who constantly talks leaves no room for others. They may believe they are motivating, but in truth, they are suppressing ideas. A leader who listens patiently, who pauses and lets silence work, draws out contributions from the whole team. They uncover solutions and perspectives that would otherwise remain hidden. That kind of leader builds loyalty because people feel seen and respected. Patience in silence also strengthens your self-control. Many people feel anxious in silence. They think silence is awkward or uncomfortable. But if you train yourself to embrace it, you discover a deeper level of calm. You no longer fear the gap between words. You use it as a tool. That self-control increases your influence. People sense that you are not ruled by impatience, but by discipline. In family life, silence plays a crucial role. Children, for example, often need time to find the right words. If a parent interrupts too quickly, the child may stop sharing altogether. But if the parent waits patiently, the child feels encouraged to continue. The same is true in partnerships. Sometimes your spouse doesn't need you to fix the problem. They just need you to listen quietly until they finish expressing their feelings. That silence communicates care more than any advice could. Even in friendships, silence strengthens connection. Friends who allow each other to speak freely, without interruption, create bonds built on trust. Patience says, "I value you enough to wait." It says, "Your words matter to me." Over time, this builds a depth in the relationship that cannot be achieved through constant chat. The discipline of silence also helps in conflict resolution. Arguments often spiral because both sides are eager to respond before the other is finished. Voices rise, tempers flare, and no one feels heard. But if one person practices patience and holds silence while the other speaks, tension decreases. The speaker feels acknowledged. The listener has more time to understand. That moment of silence becomes the turning point from conflict to understanding. Silence is not passive. It is active engagement without interruption. It requires focus, attention, and respect. You show it through body language, nodding, maintaining eye contact, leaning in slightly. You show it through restraint, resisting the urge to cut in, resisting the urge to share your story immediately. This kind of silence communicates louder than words that you are fully there with the person. Patience in silence also sharpens your awareness. When you are not focused on what you will say next, you begin to notice details. You hear not only the words, but the tone. You see the subtle changes in expression. You pick up on the emotions behind the message. That deeper awareness allows you to respond with empathy and precision, rather than with shallow assumptions. Practicing silence does not mean you never speak. It means you choose the right moment to speak. When you wait patiently, your words carry more weight. People listen more closely because they know you do not speak just to fill time. You speak with purpose. Silence makes your voice stronger because it adds contrast. The quiet before your words makes the words themselves more powerful. To build this skill,
Start by practicing in small ways. In your next conversation, resist the urge to jump in the moment the other person pauses. Count a few seconds silently before replying. Let them decide if they are finished. You may be surprised how often people will continue speaking if you give them the space. Those extra words often reveal the truth they were hesitant to share. Another practice is reflecting on your conversations. At the end of the day, ask yourself, did I listen fully? Did I allow silence, or did I rush to fill it? This awareness helps you see where you can improve. Over time, you will find yourself more comfortable in silence, and others will begin to notice that they will describe you as a great listener, not because of what you said, but because of what you allowed. This skill transforms your presence. In a noisy world where everyone is competing to be heard, you will stand out by being the one who listens. You will be remembered not for overwhelming words, but for creating moments where others felt truly understood. People will seek you out because you give them what is rare: space to express themselves fully. Silence is not empty space, it is fertile ground where honesty grows. It is the pause that allows meaning to sink in. It is the proof that you are not here only to speak, but to connect. Practicing patience in silence takes humility, discipline, and care, but the reward is immeasurable. It deepens relationships, prevents misunderstandings, and builds trust. So embrace silence. Don't fear it. Don't rush to escape it. See it as a gift you can give to others and to yourself. Use it to let people feel heard, to let emotions settle, to let truth rise. Make patience in silence a daily discipline, and you will discover that the most powerful communication often happens in the moments when no words are spoken at all.
Chapter 10. Reflect nightly on conversations and note daily improvements. At the end of each day, there is a simple but transformative practice that can turn ordinary communication into extraordinary growth. Reflection. Most people move from one conversation to another without ever pausing to think about how they spoke, how they listened, and how they could improve. They repeat the same patterns, fall into the same habits, and wonder why their relationships and influence do not change. But those who take time each night to review their conversations, to notice what went well and what could be done better, begin to shape themselves into stronger communicators day by day. This practice requires honesty, patience, and discipline, but it rewards you with clarity and consistent improvement. Reflection is not about guilt or self-criticism. It is not about punishing yourself for mistakes. It is about awareness. It is about looking back with curiosity instead of judgment, so you can learn from your experiences. Every conversation contains lessons if you are willing to look for them. Every interaction shows you something about your strengths, your weaknesses, and the effect you have on others. By taking time to notice those lessons before the day ends, you prevent them from being lost. Imagine ending the day by replaying a conversation in your mind. Maybe you recall a meeting at work where you interrupted someone too quickly. Instead of ignoring it, you write down, "I need to pause more before speaking." That small note becomes a reminder for tomorrow. Or you think about a dinner conversation with a friend where you truly listened and offered encouragement. You note, "That was effective. I want to do more of that." Over time, these reflections accumulate into patterns. You see clearly where you stumble and where you shine, and once you see, you can change. This habit is powerful because it turns experience into growth. Many people assume they will automatically improve with time, but experience alone does not guarantee improvement. Reflection does. Time only teaches those who stop to learn. By reviewing conversations nightly, you accelerate your growth far beyond those who simply repeat each day without awareness. The act of writing down daily improvements is essential. Thoughts are fleeting. If you only think about your conversations without recording anything, the insights fade quickly. But writing makes them solid. it makes them real. A simple notebook or journal can become your personal roadmap for communication growth. Each page holds your lessons, your reminders, and your progress. When you look back weeks or months later, you see how far you have come. That record builds confidence and motivates you to keep improving. The process doesn't need to take long. 5 or 10 minutes before bed is enough. What matters is consistency. Each night ask yourself questions like, did I listen fully today? Did I rush anyone? Did my tone match my intention? Did I encourage someone? Did I let my emotions control me? Did I make someone feel valued? Answer honestly and then write down one improvement for tomorrow. That simple act builds momentum. Reflection also helps you become more self-aware. Many of your communication patterns are invisible to you until you stop and look at them. For example, you may realize that you often change the subject when others talk about their struggles, or that you tend to fill silences because you feel uncomfortable, or that you rarely give compliments, even when you feel them. These small habits shape how others experience you. By noticing them at night, you bring them into the light where change becomes possible. Another benefit of nightly reflection is emotional release. Conversations can carry tension, frustration, or regret. If you don't process them, they linger. But reflecting allows you to put them into perspective. You can acknowledge, I wish I had handled that differently, and then plan how to do better next time. This clears your mind and allows you to rest peacefully instead of replaying mistakes endlessly. Reflection transforms regret into fuel for growth. Over time, this discipline also improves your confidence. At first, you may notice more mistakes than successes, but as you practice, you will begin to see progress. You will recall conversations where you stayed calm under pressure, where you encouraged someone effectively, or where you matched your tone perfectly to the message. Recognizing these wins builds self-belief. You begin to see yourself not as someone stuck in old habits, but as someone actively improving every day. This practice also strengthens memory. By reviewing your conversations, you reinforce the details in your mind. You remember names more easily, recall promises you made, and keep track of important details others shared. People notice when you remember, and they feel valued. Reflection becomes not only a tool for improvement, but also a tool for building trust. Think about how this habit impacts leadership. A leader who reflects each night on how they spoke to their team gains insights others miss. They may realize they praised one person, but overlooked another. They may notice that their words in a meeting came across more harshly than intended. By recognizing these moments, they correct them quickly instead of letting them damage morale. Leaders who reflect consistently create stronger teams because they adjust in real time. In personal relationships, reflection prevents small issues from becoming big problems. By reviewing your conversations with loved ones, you notice if you were distracted, impatient, or dismissive. You also notice the positive moments, when you showed care, when you listened well, when you offered support. By carrying these lessons forward, you become a better partner, friend, or parent day by day. Relationships thrive not on grand gestures, but on consistent, mindful improvements. This discipline also protects you from arrogance. Without reflection, it is easy to assume you are always right, that your communication needs no work. Reflection humbles you. It shows you your blind spots. It reminds you that growth never ends. No matter how skilled you become, there is always another level of listening, empathy, and clarity to reach. That humility keeps you open to learning and ensures that your growth continues. One powerful way to make reflection effective is to include gratitude. As you review your conversations, write down moments you are thankful for. Maybe someone shared something personal with you. Maybe you had a meaningful exchange that lifted your spirit. By recognizing these, you not only improve your skills, but also deepen your appreciation for the people around you. Gratitude makes reflection not just a practice of correction, but a practice of joy. The discipline of nightly reflection also changes how you approach conversations during the day. When you know you will review them later, you pay more attention in the moment. You listen more carefully. You speak more thoughtfully. And you stay more present. Reflection at night improves awareness during the day. It creates a cycle of growth, where each conversation becomes an opportunity to practice what you have learned. Some may resist this practice, thinking it is too simple to make a difference. But the truth is, simple disciplines practiced consistently create extraordinary results. Reflecting each night may not feel dramatic in the moment, but over months and years, it transforms your communication. It sharpens your listening, refines your words, strengthens your presence, and deepens your relationship. Consider this. Professional athletes review their performance after every game. Musicians review recordings of their practice. Successful businesses review their operations regularly. Why should communication, which shapes every part of your life, be treated with less importance? Reflection is your personal review. It is how you ensure that each day contributes to your growth instead of repeating old patterns. The practice also helps you forgive yourself. Everyone makes mistakes in communication. You will interrupt. You will react too quickly. You will say things you wish you hadn't. Reflection gives you a chance to acknowledge those mistakes, learn from them, and let them go. You don't have to carry guilt into the next day. You simply carry the lesson. That freedom allows you to approach tomorrow with a fresh start. At its core, reflecting nightly on conversations is about taking responsibility. It is about owning your role in communication instead of blaming circumstances or other people. It is about asking, what could I have done differently? And then committing to do better. That responsibility empowers you. It reminds you that growth is within your control. So each night, before you close your eyes, give yourself this gift. Review your conversations. Notice the lesson. Write down your improvements. Do not rush it. Do not avoid it. And do not dismiss it. Even if you record just one insight each night, imagine the progress you will make over a year. That's more than 300 lessons, 300 steps toward becoming the communicator you want to be. Communication is not mastered in a day. It is mastered in the daily choices to learn, to grow, and to improve. Nightly reflection is one of those choices. It may feel quiet and small, but its impact is life-changing. It builds self-awareness, strengthens relationships, and creates steady progress that compounds over time. Your words shape your world. Your conversations shape your relationships. If you want both to improve, you must take them seriously enough to reflect on them. Commit to this discipline tonight. Ask yourself what you learned, what you can change, and what you did well. Write it down, carry it into tomorrow, and repeat again and again. That is how ordinary conversations turn into extraordinary growth. That is how you move from average communication to exceptional influence. And that is how you build a life where every word, every pause, every interaction becomes a tool for trust, connection, and transformation.